Hello, everyone. Welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth with Scott Lembriel.
I love turning on the recording right when it's the energy's high, but you least expect it because it's fun.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. So we were having some fun chit chat, weren't we, about life beyond Earth in many
Mm.
ways. Your past, even as one of the characters in the books and things like that are published, and the two books that are coming out. I'm sure there's people that thought I never wrote those sequel books for the Parallel Time trilogy. The Emerald Doorway is published. But I wrote all three many years ago, decades ago. But I've decided to publish them in the next month or two. The new design covers for them are done. The Guardians of the Ancient one, the sequel, is almost done being edited and proofed. And I'm going to publish Journey to the Center of the Universe, which is the culmination of the entire trilogy. Probably within the next 2 months, they'll both be published worldwide. And four books will be out there. See, count them. Four. Oh, there's an extra book here. Oops, that's five. Four.
Scott, you wrote those three books like 10 years ago, right?
No,
So, more than 10 years ago?
more than 40 years ago.
Mhm. Meaning that you
The
knew a
world,
lot
the world
back
was
then.
not ready for them. They barely were ready for the Savior's agenda, and the techniques at the back took me years to write and publish it 5 times to get those special techniques in the back of that book. Here's a book that most people will think is science fiction. It's not. But I have to publish it worldwide and select very careful categories. Right now, the books are published as body, mind, spirit, UFOs, extraterrestrials, nonfiction, and action adventure fiction. Only because when you put hidden truth together in terms that reflects people's own lives that they've been made to forget and bring them to the surface, you have to do it in a high adventure story. And the story is not fiction. It's just that certain names of places and certain characters have been changed because people on Earth need to be able to accept what's in it and go on the journey of these books themselves. They're designed for people to have their own experience about what's revealed in the books. They're not like other books. The special techniques section in the back, what science fiction or fantasy book or any kind of book that reveals hidden truth about extraterrestrials and other dimensions do you know of on this planet that has techniques to help people remember, to recall, to awaken what they've been made to forget? People don't realize this. And their own resistance to change, their own fear of knowing what happened that put them on this earth, keeps them from even using the techniques that in the books they have. I know this from personal experience with dealing with people who have bought them. They just don't quite get there. See, the door is open, but they have to walk through it.
Yes, Scott, I like to to tell the story. Me, one of those people who have experiences, many experiences from your books, and I know, and I meet with many master beings, and I get many experience. I could remember who I was more. From your three books, I don't know how many lifetimes I could remember. Many, I could say more than 10 at least. Okay,
Two books.
and
There's only two
yeah,
books.
from two books, yeah. And for Thai people, because I do the show in Thai too,
Right.
work
Right.
with you, but in Thai.
Yeah.
For those who have your books and they, because they don't read English, right? So you recommend them just to put these two books under the pillows. Many they did that, and many they got very good experience. They're calmer, they're happier, and then at night when they dream, they could traveling, and then they could remember more.
That's
And
because of the first half of the word human, the hue. The hue sets up a vibration. Looks like I scratched myself. Well, that's I know what that's from. Anyway, it sets up a vibration that opens a door. It's a tool. The pineal gland in the center of the human brain, for humans on Earth anyway, when they start vibrating it with the hue, which vibrates the head upward only, it starts to open doors to connect them to the source they came from, long before they started incarnating in bodies and forms in the lower dimensions of time and space, hundreds of billions of years ago. It connects them to that source. And then there's no intermediary. Many masterful beings and wonderful beings that help them, but the direct link is one-on-one. Atma, individual. Not the body or brain, but the individual running the body and brain gets connected again to the source. And the source starts bringing them back, waking them up, awakening wisdom, turning on more brain cells, using more of the brain than the 6 to 10% people on Earth claim people on Earth use of 100% developed brain. 6 to 10%? What's keeping people from using the rest of it? Not the brain. The brain's fully developed. So what is? That's a simple answer. People are not taught on this planet how to utilize higher faculties of being because they think they're this, the body, or the brain. And they have a soul somewhere that's vague and they don't know what it is. They hear about it. But they think it's something separate from this. That, which is really them, is running this. And they need to switch that all around in order to become conscious beings again. The Atma, which is spherical, it's the same shape as a planet, moon, sun, or star, round, because those things are made in the image of their creators. So what people call soul is not an astral body that's made of finer matter on the astral plane that looks like you, but younger and healthier, and it gets out of in astral travel. And really, the astral body doesn't pull out of the physical body. That's what people mistakenly believe. They experience being in the astral plane and seeing this astral body, which is separate from their physical body, pull out of a body, but they are a separate person watching this event. They're watching the astral body get out, but they're at a distance. They don't realize they are something that's watching this. And the astral body's living a life in the astral plane, next major dimension up from the physical universe. They're already living a life there, and they're just visiting it. And sometimes, without any training, they bring back the awareness of having that visit, but they don't understand it. They don't know how to take advantage of it to do something constructive with it. So it just becomes a dream. That's not what they're meant to do. People on Earth are not trained to know how to use their higher faculties of being. So they remain dormant, turned off, unused. It's simple. Schools on Earth, governments on Earth, religions on Earth do not teach any of this to anyone. So you need help from beings that aren't stuck in the incarnation of this planet. Making decisions based on subconscious-driven fear means that all the leaders of this world are making incorrect decisions. They're doing the best they can, but they're making wrong choices because they're making them based on fear. Fear is negative. So in space-time, every action creates an equal and opposite reaction. So when they make decisions based on fear, the negativity comes back to them. It's the way it works. And people are kind of know they're not making the right decisions, but they can't help themselves at this point. So, as I've always said, and we'll say it again, to every single being on this planet, without reservation, without hesitation, for this planet to survive, we're going to need help from beings who are not on this planet. Period. That's it. That means beings from elsewhere much more highly evolved, many of them human. Think about the shock it would be for humans on Earth, the way they believe now, to have beings from other worlds come here as human beings and land. What would happen? First of all, anybody that believes that humans were evolved on this planet and God only favors them is going to be in terrible shock, because it's going to throw all that out the door. Because this thing they call God is much bigger than what's on this one little planet. And people on Earth have been deprived knowing it from birth. They have. By people who themselves do not know. It's a good thing we're not alone in the universe, because that's our saving grace. eventually full disclosure of this fact that I've just shared here will take place on this planet. Not because people on Earth, governments will choose to do it, but because they're being compelled to do it for their own good from beings who know they must in order to survive. They're not going to tolerate us blowing ourselves up in nuclear war, because that can affect life in other parallel dimensions that many places on Earth have access to, that people are completely ignorant about on this planet. And it could harm other things beyond this world, even in our solar system. So, no. People on Earth do not and will never have the right to blow themselves up. It's irresponsible and childish. 7 billion people deciding to blow themselves up again like they did on Maldek, which is an asteroid field circling in the orbit of a planet between Mars and Jupiter in our solar system right now. There was a world there of people blown apart from the center outward. One bomb, one device. It's not new. And all those people that were there and went somewhere else when they lost their bodies, they got incarnated on this planet. And unconsciously, they're trying to recreate the same destruction. There are beings here from other places in the universe, some good, some tyrants, that don't remember who and what they were before, but their subconscious compulsions remain the same. So it's really the subconscious programs in people on Earth that's causing all this chaos. And that was not created on this Earth. It was brought here illegally by some tyrant races at a time when the races out in space were policing that but not really interfering. So they had to correct this problem out in space in order to begin to correct it here on Earth. It's not that there are any negative ETs in bases underground on Earth anymore, because there aren't.
Scott, when you mentioned,
though, our governments did not remove them. This is what people don't get. We didn't have the ability or technology to get rid of some of these associations that were created through ignorance after World War II that should never have been created. They were created out of fear. That's a wrong choice. Those beings were removed from this solar system by friends from out of town, from off-world. They didn't kill them. They just took them out of here. So this solar system is policed. It's quarantined by very advanced beings who want to, as difficult as it is, help this planet of people make a transition to be a spacefaring race. We cannot do that and never will be given the opportunity to do that unless we operate as kind people on this planet. There's not going to be 50 different governments going into space trying to fight over the spoils of other planets. And people who are playing this space game right now are beginning to find out, they're not telling the public, that they are not going to be allowed to go out there and put their flag on another planet, because space is already occupied and has been for hundreds of millions, even billions of years, by more advanced races. We're not going to be able to do that, ever. No Star Trek in the future, because it isn't like what people think.
when you said when the Maldek exploded, because 7 billion people like agree the same thing, but we would say it's the government who did that, who did the experiments, not the people. How can you explain about this?
No, the people unconsciously supported their own destruction. Galactic Alliance just didn't intervene back then. And that bit them in the rear end later, out in the galaxy, because it wasn't the best choice. They thought it was good, but it's not. I'll tell you why. If a planet full of people like Earth do not remember who they are, they don't. What they are that isn't a physical body, and really know it, they don't. They don't remember what they've lived, where they've lived, or what they knew before this lifetime. They do not have free will to make proper choices. They're making choices based on negative influences. Fear. Fear of the present, fear of the future. And because of that, they are not really making free will choices. It took a long time for people out in the galaxy to realize that these the beings on Earth are not really in free will. So if you let them blow themselves up, whose responsibility does it become for letting them destroy themselves without free will? So where does this law of non-interference come into this? If races out there have the responsibility to help younger races get out of this self-destructive crap, and they do nothing, knowing that people on Earth don't have free will, then they assume the karma. And they'll have to pay for it one day for not being the people they proclaim to be, for not acting in a masterful way. That's what's changed out in the galaxies that people on Earth do not yet know. There are no more grays abducting people on this planet. Haven't been for decades. No more reptilians in bases, none of that. And people are perpetuating this fear all around the world because they're in fear themselves. So they're painting a picture of, well, I want to do good for people that follow me, but I also want to share all this negative stuff at the same time. It's a conflict of interest. Those two kinds of things ground. It's like a positive and negative pole of a battery grounding the charge into the earth. It keeps people stuck here. So, no matter what's happening on this planet, between governments making decisions based on fear, which they are, and not on ration or reason or kindness or anything else, it's very important that people of Earth learn how to put fear and subconscious influences on a shelf and turn them off. Stop being fixated and addicted to looking at such stuff. And that takes an awakening of consciousness. It takes an awareness that you don't have to be the effect of these negative things on Earth. The more people that are able to create an energy field around themselves here that is not vulnerable to any of that while they walk through life, there's an energy that comes through them then that can help change all this planet, everybody on it. Boots on the ground, so to speak. So, I don't work with or have associations with or make money off of or with people in the UFO or extraterrestrial communities, disclosure communities, because in my experience, for the most part, they will not work together. They're all doing their own thing. They're not really a threat to a U.S. Space Force or classified military because they're all divided and conquered already. They don't realize this, of course, because, they're, how can I put it? They're not really doing what they should be doing with each other. Because if they were a collective group, they would have real power to help influence governments and religions to be evolved, to change, to grow, to leap into experience instead of just remaining stuck in faith or belief, because that's destructive. Nobody believes the same way, and 7 billion people, and they're all competing for the beliefs and a bunch of stuff that has no relevance whatsoever outside this planet. No religion represented on this planet exists out there among the stars, and people on Earth do not understand this. They don't need those religions. They know how to connect to the source directly. The energy out in space, toroidal, zero-point energy that people on Earth call this supposed black energy of space that's all things in space floating like galaxies and planets and moons and suns and stars, is a living, conscious, single energy from an original sound that brought the lower worlds of time and space into creation. And we all had a part in that. Not this, but the spherical being, the soul, the Atma that's running this, is not made of time and space or matter, molecules, DNA, or atomic or nuclear energy. It's not like a sun or a planet. It lives and moves and has its being in that omnipresent field of energy, what we call zero-point or toroidal energy, is a conscious living force just outside the planet's atmosphere, even through the atmosphere of the planet. But people haven't been trained how to tune into it, communicate with it since their birth. So why would they? How could they have confidence to do it? They're never trained that on this planet. They want that kind of training, they can get it from fellow human beings who were not born here, that are from other worlds, who don't and did not grow up in this culture. who are very advanced. They can remove subconscious terrorizing programs implanted in the subconscious mind of people on Earth. That's easy stuff. Piece of cake. But they got to get it on this planet. The alternative is for people to leave their body, and like they do every night when they put the body to sleep, anyway, without realizing it, and go out and meet these beings outside of Earth's atmosphere. Because the atmosphere of Earth is packed full of negative events and things that happened between people since it began. It's all stored in the atmosphere, bouncing off the ionosphere like a radio wave does to get around the curvature of the planet. It cannot go out in space. You can send a radio transmission out in space from one point to another, just broadcast something, but you can't send negative emotions and imagination into that energy out in space because it will not, you can't put it there. It won't go. It stays within the atmosphere. You know, and the only transmissions that were ever put out in space was before World War II from Hitler, when they broadcast the first radio TV show, you know, of the Olympics, went out into space, which is what the movie Cocoon was based on with Jodie Foster and all that. But there have been other things since then, projected transmissions out into space, military and otherwise, but none of it was negative. None of it was, we want to go to war with you aliens. It was like, hi, if you're out there, contact us. And they tell the public we've never been contacted. That is an outright lie. And they've done this. 35 countries agreed to classify and deceive people about this at the end of World War II, to encourage people to be baby boomers, to make babies, rebuild a damaged world. The governments of this planet couldn't tell people there are races from the stars so much more advanced than us. If they wanted to, they'd come down and take us over in 10 minutes. With nothing we could do about it. But there are races out among the stars that have prevented that kind of thing. In 2022, no giant cockroach beings have come to Earth to blow up our cities and kill the Earth. Has it? People have tried to shoot laser beams and other things at craft that come here. But they're never fired back on. They're never retaliated for the evil that they're trying to do. They're making those decisions on fear. And they think they've got such advanced weaponry now to defend themselves against the bad ETs. But I can tell you that they do not. That's just because no one's been mean enough to fight back or to retaliate for what's been attempted to be done to these beings. Because they know how misdirected people on Earth are. So they stay out of this until they're ready, until Earth people are ready to receive them. Because once that day happens here, this world will change overnight, quite dramatically. And it's destined to do that. If people on Earth think they're going to survive the way they are now, they're not. They have to go through some unexpected experiences to get them to, even trembling in their boots, to be able to ask for the assistance from more advanced beings out among the stars, because they know how to fix this planet and its people. They've done it out there a long time ago. You can imagine how backward people are that think this is the only planet and God's only children are here and all that nonsense. There couldn't be a bigger ego trip amongst people than that one. They say they pray to the Supreme Being, but they limit it to a planet Earth, and it's way out there and all the way up through the dimensions. And that God they pray to is not going to limit what it does to this little planet. It's impossible. Got to bring the planet's people into a larger arena of respecting all life in the grand multi-dimensional universe, because it's required. If people on Earth want to wake up and get free, that is required. No shortcut, no getting around it. Okay, now on a lighter note, it's fun to go into the hue, the first half of the word human, because of what it does. Not because of what I say it does, because it's set up so people can work with it and have their own experience. It's not easy. It's not instant. You don't get a magic wand from a Savior saying, you're just done. You're going to heaven. You don't have to do anything. Come on up to heaven and be just as dumb as you are and then wreck the place. No. Beings want to go to a higher reality, even peaceful planets. They have to be that way themselves now, don't they? And they have to be wise enough to consciously know how to behave, how to co-create with others. It's required. So Earth really has a great destiny, but people on Earth don't see it or know it right now the way things are here. All they say is fear of the present and fear of the future. Fear of the present, fear of the future, fear of this, fear of that. You can't blame them. You know, some people start out good to try to share truth about ETs and life beyond the planet and other dimensions. And somehow a lot of them get caught up in the money making, the book selling, and whatever they do to such a degree that they just become that instead of what they started out to do. I can't blame them. I don't. Because they're surrounded by people doing it as well. You have to be really strong and courageous and know what you're doing to stay outside of that trap while you're doing what you do in this world. Because otherwise you just get sucked up into it. And then they're putting out good and bad, fear and love. At the same time, those two are opposing forces in a dualistic energy, positive and negative, and they short circuit each other and ground the energy to the earth. Like nothing can move forward that way. So you have all these people all these years trying to disclose the truth about extraterrestrial life. And look at the condition of the world anyway right now. Has it helped? What's missing? What's missing from all that effort? Well, for one thing, people can't collectively work together towards a common transformation of this planet if they're driven by making decisions based on fear, subconscious stuff they don't even know is there. It's impossible. So when people put their body to sleep at night, which they do, everybody on Earth, they actually leave their body behind. I don't care if they're Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or Hindus or what they are. They go out of their bodies, but they're not trained from birth to do anything with it. How to bring it back, what faculties, higher faculties are necessary. How do you awaken them? How do you turn them on? You know, to get them the memories brought back to this body and this brain that didn't grow up knowing any of that stuff. It's not taught in schools here. Governments don't spread it around. Religions don't know it. So how do people find it out? Well, I go back to the hue because it's the first original sound behind all creation. It's not patented on, it's not owned by anybody on Earth. Nobody on Earth created it. It can't be owned or possessed, or it's the one energy behind everything. It's a sound, it's an uplifting thing. It supports all life in the multidimensional creation. It supports all life in 144 parallel dimensions, successively higher molecular time rates in just the physical universe alone, before you even get to what's called the astral plane. It's big. It's just gigantic, enormous. The being that's running a human body when it's awake can comprehend and understand all that, because it's the energy that makes up an individual is the same as the source itself. Prime creator, supreme being, whatever they want to call it. It is a non-nuclear, non-physical matter energy behind and supporting all that. And it's right out there in space. And it's not black, as people see in Hubble's telescope images. It is a white golden light. When you're out of your body, above the earth and looking at it, you can see it. Human eyes can't see that because it's in a higher frequency. Human eyes can't see X-rays or ultraviolet or infrared, unless you look through a prism and see kind of these colors. But normally human eyes can't detect these things. They're there. But human eyes aren't designed to see into higher frequencies like that. The Atma, the soul, the individual spherical being that runs bodies, is qualified and capable of seeing and knowing such things. So we connect through the you. So we can go on a hue thing now, and I'll do that, and make this radio show because of your co-creative assistance and kindness, we're going to make this radio show a journey out of our bodies beyond the atmosphere of Earth. Always get outside the atmosphere of Earth first, or you will not make much progress. I love planet Earth. It's a great place. You take the people off it, you got a beautiful planet. Put the people on it, and they're ruining it. Everywhere, all the time. So there's no future for this planet this way. You don't need a nuclear war to end life here. The way people are living and eating and destroying the ecology, the rainforests are 90% burnt down. They filter out carbon dioxide and make oxygen. 70% of the oxygen on this planet comes from the oceans. But if we don't have trees or plants to filter that out, then we all die. It's just that simple. Cut down all the trees, everybody dies. Cut down the equator's rainforests, we're certainly headed in that direction. How are you going to fix that when they're gone? You're not. So we're going to need help from people from other worlds that know how to fix such things in a more dramatic and immediate way than people on Earth can. Okay. When people go into the hue, they are actually opening a door through the pineal gland, the center of the human body, the brain, the DNA, the mechanical body, that takes you, the spherical being, the atma, the soul, running it. You have to actually give it energy that's non-nuclear to run it, or it'll sit there and drool and fall down dead. Bodies and brains do not run themselves, ever. It's like an analysis would be that you get in your car, you imagine going to a store or a movie. So you get your body up, you set it down in the car, and your car is like your body. And the atma that you are hovering above it, running it unconsciously, puts it in the car, sees the movie, turns the key, and then you drive the car to the movie. Imagination comes first, or we go nowhere and do nothing, ever. And people on Earth are not trained. This is what they're doing. When they're daydreaming, they're actually seeing what they're daydreaming about somewhere in existence that is not where their body is. Which means the brain does not imagine anything. There is no mechanism in the gray brain matter in the neurons that can project a picture of a film of a place or a planet on a movie screen in your brain so you can see it. Because the you that's seeing it is not the brain or the body. It's transferring the visual of it into the brain and body through the pineal gland so that this brain and body can humbly accept and see such things which it otherwise has no capability to do. Imagination is not fantasy. Imagination is the ability to see into the multiverse, plug into it through the hue, and know things by direct experience. It is the missing word in certain books on this planet. It is not a written word, it is an original sound. First sound, then light. We begin wherever you are, sit in a chair, lie in a bed, imagine someone or something you love and respect, you're grateful, whatever that is in your life, because it starts a process. Imagine being up at the ceiling where you live, looking down on your body. This is easy stuff. This is just what you do every day naturally when you daydream about being on the ski trip that weekend, about being on another planet, or being in Hawaii, walking on a black sandy beach, or walking on a luminous golden beach somewhere else. When you imagine something like that, you're actually seeing something that exists somewhere that's not Earth, or not the Earth you know. The more people become aware of this fact, the better off they are. It is not normal for people to live on a planet not knowing who they are, what they are that isn't a body, or how they got here. That's not normal. And how that happened goes back into Galactic History 101, Multidimensional History 101, Past Time Track History 101. When you get above the lower worlds of time and space and look down upon them from a dimension that has no negativity in it whatsoever, you can see things clearly. Making decisions from there means those decisions will be correct. So imagine yourself near the ceiling. It's just daydreaming. You just look down and see what your body would look like if you were looking down on it. You're really spherical. If you want to imagine an astral body floating near the ceiling looking down, that's okay. But it's better if you know you're spherical and that you can see in all directions and you're looking down on this body. And its eyes are closed. Why? Because it shuts off all incoming light and information from the physical planet that surrounds you. That part of the brain is turned off. So when you're still imagining something with your eyes closed, something other than the brain is seeing it. I'm going to send out a series of tones that will raise this vibration, and this will go through your physical body, astral, causal, mental, and etheric bodies. You have lives you're living on all those planes. Below the void, known to some Buddhists and certain esoteric groups on Earth that incorrectly believe that's God, the source. You can't go beyond it. That's simply a barrier between the lower worlds, positive and negative, time and space, and the upper realities that are pure positive. And there is no negative nature there. Things are changing there to correct the way these lower dimensions of time and space are administered. And this is taking place for the first time in the entire history of the multidimensional universe. I'll begin those tones. You can do it with me or just silently in yourself. What we're doing when we do this The center of each Atma, each individual, what people on earth call soul, is a white core, brilliant white golden light. Mostly white, a little bit of gold tinge to it. And then surrounding it are layers of these little teardropped higher faculty capabilities that each being has. They don't have to earn these or acquire them, they already have them. But many of them are turned off, unused, dormant, for many reasons that brought people to Earth with no memory, or very little, of their former existence. The next layer has a different color, and there are layers of each being through the spectrum of light, from a white, golden white core to a violet exterior to a golden luminous field of energy and a toroidal field of energy around the sphere that you are. You look up toroidal on the Google it and you'll find out what this is, what it looks like. So it goes from a white core, slight golden tinge, yellow, golden, orange, green, blue, lavender, violet, gold. Layers that surround the white core of each being. And that what we look like as beings is actually on Earth on the cover of the Emerald Doorway, book 1 of the Parallel Time Trilogy. It's right there for the first time on Earth. You can see it for yourself and remember. This goes quite a far beyond spaceship rides. The more advanced races out there that travel the stars vastly beyond any speed of light do so by cooperating in harmony with the one force that's out in space, which is the universal omnipresent living energy that supports all creation, like galaxies that float in it, or Atmas, souls that float in it, made of the same energy, comprised of the same thing. It isn't molecules, it's not DNA, it's not atomic, it's not nuclear in nature. More advanced races have learned how to develop craft that channel this energy that's out in space through their engines so they can travel incredibly fast between worlds and galaxies and even into other parallel dimensions, 144 of them. And this is below what people call the astral plane. And they've learned how to channel that energy, which is not nuclear, it's not atomic in nature, and it does not and is not limited by the laws of physics, which is nuclear in nature. So if you want to get around the speed of light, you have to work in harmony with that one power, that one omnipresent field of force, or you will never do it. Rocket ships do not have the ability, and never will, to travel fast enough to get even into distant planets in our own solar system in any practical way. So something else has to take the place of that explosive energy force at some point in order to traverse the stars in a practical way. Now we're just talking about moving physical bodies on ships between point A and point B. More advanced races that can do that with craft also can leave their bodies consciously and travel into the higher dimensions and come back, which is where they get their higher science from. Imagine being in the upper atmosphere of the planet, looking down on your country, wherever you are. And then move around the world as a spherical being, because you're not nuclear, not limited by speed of light or any sound or anything like this. And take a look at all the countries from space and the polar ice caps and the barren moon with meteor craters all over it, no atmosphere, doesn't turn on its axis, and it still circles a planet. That is completely abnormal, not normal at all in our solar system or anywhere in the galaxy. People on Earth don't realize what had to happen to position a moon to move in an orbit around the planet without turning on its axis from any other gravitational influences. It's not normal. From space, you can see this just by imagining it. You don't have to be in a space shuttle, which has been retired permanently, to see this stuff. In space, the Atma you, your body's back on Earth, eyes closed. You might hear a truck go by, the ears might still hear things, but that body is asleep because you are all experts at doing that when you put the body to sleep in the trance state every single night. That's a complex process that you've been made to forget all about how that works, so it's just unconscious, subconscious really. When you're in space above the planet, there are a few beings in a center around which all of us, as spherical luminous beings, are hovering in a circle around them. There are three beings, one very, very tall, and his name is Ambassador Torellian. He's from the Se-Rays human race. And he's showing you an 18-foot tall body with his hands out, two thumbs up, with a golden sphere of light radiating around them. And you can see that light is extending between us and past us in a larger protective sphere around us. And that energy comes from a reality above the void. And he's brought it here to provide a safe, impenetrable space so that while our body's safe in the trance state back on Earth, asleep, we can go on a journey. And that's what we're going to do. It doesn't matter whether you believe or not believe it's happening or think you can't see it, because you can, but your physical eyes cannot. So you, as an imaginative being, a co-creator with the source, which is your real destiny, can see it, can do it. That 18-foot tall body he's showing you is made of pure energy. If you look above and behind this form, this tall Greek godlike man with big blue eyes and slightly pointed ears and long blonde hair down to his shoulders and a Greek gown, above him is hovering a brilliant luminous sphere. That is Torellian, not the body he's showing you. Their race, which seeded most spacefaring races that traverse our galaxy and many others, even up and through the astral plane, was carried out by the Se-Rays more than 1 billion years ago. They evolved to the point where they could dematerialize the physical body and store the DNA pattern, which is 12-stranded, in one of the teardrop layers that they are as an Atma. Then they can manifest that body if it's needed by drawing on the universal energy, filling the DNA and manifesting it instantly to carry out a mission, and then they dissolve it because they don't have the burden of running a physical body and being burdened by that like people on Earth do. Now, people on Earth are also Atmas because right now all of you are hovering in a circle around Torellian, and you realize you're looking at each of us and we're the same thing as him. And you have much smaller bodies, men and women, but the bodies you're projecting out in front of the sphere you are looks to be about perfect, 36 years of age, young adult, flawless in every way. So this is a way you show who you are to others that is really a spherical energy, a drop from an ocean, a mighty ocean of sound and light, from a dimensional reality far above the void, known to certain esoteric groups on Earth. Torellian, I'm standing beside him, much shorter of course, a master teacher named Ramu, a master teacher named Opelum, who has pale blue skin, jet black smooth hair down to his shoulders, slightly pointed ears, emerald green eyes, looks to be about 40, healthy, trim, single otherworldly gown on, like silk, comfortable. And he's opening his hands to show the little webs between his fingers, and little gills under his neck you wouldn't notice, and when he lifted his neck, you see three little slits on each side. That human being has this body on a planet called Oceania, which is mostly water covered, and it is in a parallel dimension, 3 levels up in our galaxy from the Earth you know about. They are one of the most advanced races with crystalline-based science in the universe. The body he's showing you is immortalized. It means they've mastered the genomes on the DNA to keep bodies from aging. All they have to do is turn on a few switches, and the telomeres on the end of the DNA will not shrink every time cells divide. It's just that simple. This is the potential people on Earth have, but not if they're irresponsible, fear-driven little brats, because such energy and such abilities do not come to such people. They would abuse them and destroy themselves with it, or live forever as a tyrant. It won't work. These beings you're seeing actually exist outside of Earth. They come to Earth. Ramu, who is a short-cropped black beard, short-cropped curly black hair, swarthy skin, looks Tibetan, maroon robe with sandals. He's holding a 6-foot-tall quartz crystal staff, crowned with an ankh, like ancient Egypt, with a cross and a vertical oval with a hole in it. That's a device. It's his trademark. He always carries it. And he has an immortalized body on Earth in a place called Agam Des. It is hidden in the Himalayas, and it's in a higher parallel dimension of real place on planet Earth. So he can come from there and visit things and do certain things with people and go back to a place that has no negative nature in the physical universe on planet Earth. There's a sound out here in space. When you look around you now, you're going to see that everything you thought was black, like you see in a Hubble Space Telescope image of outer space and galaxies, that surrounds these things that float in it, like planets and moons and suns and stars and galaxies, etc., is a white golden light. It not only is not black, it is not dark matter, it is not matter at all. There is matter out in space, gas, leftover debris, and different kinds of things, but the energy that supports all that is not matter. And it's not nuclear or atomic in nature. The being you are that's spherical, showing a perfect 36-year-old male or female body to each other in a circle around Turelian, is comprised of exactly the same energy that's out in space. It's exactly the same energy, that which you see in space, that moves up through the multi-dimensions of the universe, through the void, up into the realm of the Atma realm above the void, and up into higher realms, all the way to source energy, which is known as the ocean of sound and light. The Supreme Being, Prime Creator. And each of you as an Atma originated from there. And each of you as an Atma is destined to return to that place, to become a fully experienced conscious co-creator with the source behind all life. Not a co-worshipper, not a slave, a co-creator with it. Like a drop of pure God energy coming out of and remaining individual from an entire ocean of the same energy, whirling around a center like a galaxy. From outside of planet Earth's atmosphere, there's no negative nature in that energy. There are beings from the Galactic Alliance. That's the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds. It's not a federation. It's much further out in the galaxy on a planet near the core of the galaxy itself. Not in the core, it's just outside of that. Out in space, without the influences in the atmosphere that surround people, we can move and go about anywhere we wish to imagine. This omnipresent field of energy will take us wherever we imagine. So in this guided journey, Turelian, Ramu and Opelum, myself and others, are going on a journey out into the solar system, our solar system, because you need to see what's stationed in the ice rings that surround Saturn. It is not from our solar system. It is a mile-long cylindrical craft with a slightly flattened top and bottom and curved bridge observation windows in the front and in the rear, identical. There are no launch doors on this craft. It is surrounded by a blue anti-gravitic light, which protects it in a space down inside the ice, the big chunks of ice that make up about 1.5 miles thickness of the rings that surround the planet Saturn, a gas giant. How did water, frozen water, get in a ring surrounding a gas giant? So this ship from the Galactic Alliance is called an Emerald Star Cruiser, is there. And it's stationed there permanently for now. And the disc-shaped craft that come in and out of it go into the central section by raising their molecular time rate, passing through the metal hull, lowering the time rate, and landing in a hangar. There are no open launch bay doors. This ship is designed to go through interdimensional doorways between vast areas of the cosmos. They've learned how to map out where these natural openings are. They did not create them. So you can see that Turelian and all of us are suddenly hovering in space, out in that outer space, the white golden light surrounding the planet Saturn and its rings, and you can see this ship. So we're going to go as a group of beings in a circle. Doesn't matter how many of you there are. We are Atmas, and space and time and physics do not come into this, nor does gravity. And we're going to move down towards the central section of the hull of this mile-long cylindrical craft, the blue-gray metallic hull. It has oval vertical windows surrounding just above the equator, the circumference of the craft. So there are observation windows down its entire length along both sides. And as we move through the hull as beings, not matter bodies, we come into an area where we see a large hangar inside the center, upper section. There are craft parked on the floor in parallel rows that are disc-shaped with 3 semispheric or hemispheric pods in the bottom, and of a blue glass top, and they're just landed there on 3 extended tripod legs. There's a conveyor belt that's running constantly from the far end of a football field-sized hangar bay through a triangular doorway opening 15 feet high on one end and to an identical one on the other end. When people from the craft step onto this conveyor belt, they are gravitationally grounded to it. They're held upright, and it whisks them along at a good speed until they get to the end near the opening. And then they step off of it like getting off an escalator and walk through the luminous golden-sided opening to go into different parts of the ship. We're going towards the bridge control window we saw out in space facing us. The other end is facing away from us towards the planet Saturn. And we're going to go through this pyramid opening. Turelian has shrunk himself down to be about 7 feet tall, can walk through it, and then all of us just walk through it. Now remember, You're a spherical Atma running this body that looks like you. Perfectly healthy, about 36. We turn left into an opening that goes into a huge lounge with blue glass top tables, oval, and egg-shaped white chairs with blue cushions. And 300 of the ship's personnel from different world systems, human, humanoid, and other races that have 2 arms and 2 legs, but they don't look human. These are ship's personnel, and we're simply standing with our feet in plush blue carpet. Tyrolean is standing behind us. This observation room is 60 feet high. It's a big ship, you know. So Tyrolean can stand behind us very comfortably at 18 feet. And then the 300 ship's personnel, not from Earth, kind, very advanced, every one of them have the equivalent of 10 PhDs compared to a human on Earth. They see you as Atmas, they see the physical form you're projecting, and when you look at them with real physical bodies on the ship, you look above them and you can see the spherical Atma hovering there. And they begin to talk with you, men and women, talking with you as men and women, welcoming you to the ship. There is no fear or negative nature amongst these people. You cannot experience it here. That's turned off with your sleeping bodies back on Earth. There are beings from the Galactic Alliance, a man and a woman, that have been next to each one of you to make sure your subconscious negative drives remain off while you're on this journey. It's a friendly service they provide for your benefit. You can hear a sound humming through the atmosphere inside this chamber, this observation chamber. There are many of them down each side of the length of this ship's cylindrical hull. This is one of the smaller ships, by the way. The sound is the hue. You can hear it humming like millions of bees in the atmosphere, but it's uplifting and pleasant, hauntingly beautiful. It makes you desire returning to the source from whence you once departed long ago. There's a man and a woman who are the commanders of this ship, a married couple, a mated pair. They're not from Earth. They are basically from the Pleiades area, but not the 7 stars you can see with the naked eye from Earth. They're from thousands and thousands of other stars back behind in that area of our galaxy. There are many types of races back there. They are not at war. There is no war taking place out in space right now. The last big war took place 500,000 years ago, came to an end, and was a treaty drawn up. Both positive and negative races, highly evolved and some tyrant races, have been allowed to come to planet Earth over a very long period of time to establish little colonies, little bases, but no one race has ever been allowed to control or dominate planet Earth. It's part of a treaty, like Switzerland. Some tyrant races have gone in and done diabolical things with leaders, sent programs into their subconscious, especially after World War II. Even the CIA didn't see that coming. And so they've been being helped all along to get free of this. And in recent years, a few years back now, such beings were removed from this planet and from our solar system. And now we have a quarantined solar system out in space, which means the greater community of beings out there, more than 450 million spacefaring world systems, have quarantined us because people on Earth are absolutely nuts, dangerous, and destructive. So they can't be allowed to go out and play among the stars beyond this solar system the way they are. Common sense. If you were in their shoes, you would do the same thing if you were in their shoes. So there is a plan here besides just observing people destroy themselves on Earth, and that is to change that permanently into something very unexpected. On this ship, all of you can meet beings from other worlds. You're out of your bodies. This isn't with your physical body, but the real you. You got to remember that the commander and his wife, about 40-ish looking, trim, they have a symbol on the right chest area of a pyramid, golden pyramid, quartz capped over a white, silvery galaxy with 3 blue stars in triangular formation above them. There are many spacefaring world systems that are part of this greater organizations of worlds, called different names, part of the same organization, the central one. This truth has not really yet been revealed to people on Earth, but is being done now. This commander and his wife are master teachers, by the way, and they pilot or command this one ship, part of a larger fleet of such ships. The ships that exit them and patrol our solar system are disc-shaped with 3 semispheric pods on the bottom. They come and go. They can raise their molecular time rate because of the what you call anti-gravitic field of energy that surrounds the hull. They can raise it so that radar cannot detect them and they are invisible to human eyes. So you see them if they want you to. This is some way that they protect themselves when coming to Earth to help, for instance, turn off a nuclear attack, which they've done many times since World War II, and leave without being shot down or destroyed by fear-driven people in militaries that try to do that. And every time they try to do it, beings from other worlds do not retaliate. So who are the real destructive aggressors here? Them or people on Earth? That has to change. We're not going into the upper worlds as we've done in other radio show journeys. We're just going to a practical situation on a physical craft stationed in the ice rings of Saturn right now. And what you're going to do, if you're wise, is tell yourself you're going to bring back the awareness of this journey just into our own solar system to your body that's sleeping back on Earth. So when you see yourself hovering above the planet, you can see the polar ice caps, the oceans and land masses, the barren moon that always shows us the same face because it doesn't turn on its axis as it revolves around Earth, and the yellow sun in the distance, billions of beautiful stars, big blue-white giants, super giant red dwarfs, super giant red planets, and red dwarf planets and yellow suns like ours. Every single one of those stars has planets revolving around it. If you think that beings from the stars have not contacted certain government leaders on Earth, you would be incorrect. Even the Galactic Alliance has decided not to disclose fully their existence to people on Earth until people on Earth are prepared enough to not panic and riot, so that such revelations can be enjoyed and be beneficial when full disclosure takes place on this planet. That is underway. So you're going to endeavor to bring back, you're hovering near the ceiling where you live, top of the ceiling of a car, or on a couch, outside, depending on where you are listening to this journey. And you're going to simply see a little white golden thread of light projected from the white core of your being as a spherical being hovering near the ceiling. It's going to go down into the center of your brain and softly radiate outward until it extends 2 miles. That's right, 2 miles. And then it continues to move past an energy field surrounding you out into the entire planet. And it connects to 3 pyramids that are devices that are stationed on Earth now, 2 on the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans, quite a bit larger than the Cheops pyramid in Egypt, Cheops or however they pronounce it, and 1 inside a hollowed out interior of a mountain in the Himalayas, and they are turned on, and there are fountains inside them, and they do certain things. They exist as physical things, but they are not made of matter. They cannot be harmed or destroyed or shot at or anything like that. And they are connected to pyramids that have begun to be manifested between stars in our galaxy. There's a big one hovering between 2 stationary asteroids in the asteroid field that was a planet that circles at high speed around the sun in the orbit of a planet. All you're doing is bringing the awareness of this journey to the brain and body and personality that grew up on this earth that has no such knowledge. What you're doing is enlightening the personality and body and mind you have on earth with the consciousness of the cosmos. This helps people to respect all life, as they're not doing on earth now. Not just life on earth, but life out in the grand multidimensional creation. Be kind to yourself. Let this happen. It's your choice. And then open your eyes when you're ready.
Thank you for the journey to Saturn.
This is what they wanted to do. And I'm talking about Torelli and some of these other friends, Galactic Alliance personnel. They wanted to do this collectively. I should say the hue itself, coming from the ocean of sound and light in the highest realm, wanted to do this for this journey instead of going on a journey all the way up through the plains across the void, which we've done many times. And those are available on your YouTube channel if people want to explore those journeys. But this one is very important because it's very grounded. It's very on this solar system, on planets with physical bodies, and the Atma is running physical bodies. So it's about bringing about a transformation on Earth. I mean, unexpected, of course, but underway. Perry, you have any questions? You think you're...
No,
Okay.
sorry. It's good one. People need to read your books. I would say again, read your books, your 2 books, and then go on the journey that will help you to remember who you are. The experience you come step by step.
There's the ship we just went to. There, the disc-shaped craft. It's inside the ice rings of the planet Saturn. This is a character named Mark Sandfield, a guy that's written a conspiracy theory type book about a hidden government on Earth. These are people from another world in black suits trying to kill him. He's on a solo camping trip on the high Sierra Mountains. His tent, that's back here behind him, is getting destroyed. He's jumping out of the way. This craft is beaming him to safety. So from this point on, this being, who's on Earth as a man, doesn't remember who he is brought up here, brought here, so they can help him remember what he was made to forget, because he's not from Earth. This book has special techniques in the back about the hue for the prologue and a separate one for each chapter, 29. So this is very valuable. This is the first book of the Parallel Time Trilogy, The Emerald Doorway. She has blue skin, a woman not from Earth. There's a Dranny, silica-based, beautiful, loving creature. His tail glows like crystal opal in sunlight because this creature, the silica-based creature from her homeworld, Oceania, evolved with the ability to defy gravity as an organic creature. This is Captain Calum, human Caucasian male. Master Ramu, his staff. That is what you look like. This is the source, ancient one, much bigger. It's come down through an opening in the fifth realm above the void, known to certain groups on Earth. Down here are new continents that have formed because the poles flipped and destroyed Lemuria, and Atlantis was a colony continent 100,000 years ago. New land masses formed. They're on antigravitic disks. This is hovering stationary. That's his ship. And what these people here, Etta, Caleb, and Melina, don't know at that time is one of these on a smaller level is hovering above each of their heads, and they are identical. This is what you look like that's not of astral, physical, or any form. This is what you might say is designed or created in the image of Prime Creator, the Supreme Being, not one of these. That's a bad guy holding the earth in his hands, so the conflict is with him, and he's human, but he's not from Earth. He's wearing a certain crystal that he's stolen from his master, killed him, and is misusing it to try to dominate things. There are two more books, Guardians of the Ancient One and Journey to the Center of the Universe, which I am finally publishing in the next month or two, which will complete this trilogy story. And that has a lot to do with opening a door for this world. So I just tell you this and let you have your own experiences, which is what you need in order to know things for yourself. So fear can be dropped instead of doubt and speculation and theory and all that stuff. Okay.
Yeah, like Master Ramu, the one you just show on the cover of the book, when we go on the journey, he's always there with us too.
Voluntarily, yep.
Yeah.
And he has an immortalized body, about 500 or 600 years old, longer really. He has a name sometimes presents to people on Earth, but he has Master Ramu is an older name, which goes back before Lemuria, before the poles of planet Earth changed the last time and the final time. Something's changed in our solar system because things have changed out among the stars, which has corrected this cyclic polar flipping of this planet Earth that destroys cultures that have evolved to 100,000 years and that are wiped out in a single night. 6 ice ages in 600,000 years. That's come to an end. So Earth, at least as chaotic as it is and as fear-driven as people are, they have the opportunity to change now. So I'll leave everybody with that.
Thank you, Scott. And everyone, if you like this radio show, please thumb up, subscribe, and share if you think the benefits are there. Thank you, Scott. See you next time.
Perry will put this on our YouTube channel with links. You can go to paralleltime.com and see the books. Their links are go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and you don't have to hunt for any of it. You can get an ebook or paperback or hardback book for those now. Okay, then.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Bye-bye, everyone.
As I like to say, I'll see you all later.
See you later.